Those massive remains of two blue whales could soon be heading from Newfoundland to Ontario. The carcasses, we've been tracking this, is a story the world's been paying attention to. In fact, the carcasses that have washed up on the west coast of Newfoundland have been decomposing there ever since. The Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto is sending a team to recover the skeletons. Now, that is causing some controversy because the locals say they'd like to see the whales and the skeletons stay in Newfoundland. But the guest that I said to him just now as we were introduced, the whole world wants to meet, has this incredible job of leading the team to recover the whale carcasses. Dr. Mark Engstrom from the Royal Ontario Museum, Deputy Director, Collections and Research. And my guest, great to have you in this morning.
Well,
thank you very much. As I said, I mean, this has been really quite extraordinary how much this story has captivated the world. I guess it's because we don't often see these incredible carcasses.
Well, it's the largest animal that's ever lived on the planet Earth. So it's not surprised that they attract so much attention, and they're incredibly rare. There's 250 individuals or less left in the North Atlantic population.
Really? Okay. Well, hence, you really want to protect what you have and study them as well. So when you started to see these first pictures of the whales initially trapped in the ice, and then of course unfortunately washed up on shore, I mean, were you expecting a call from the DFO, or did they call you, or how did this all happen to get involved?
Well, I saw it in the news like everyone else did.
Right.
I saw that there were 9 individuals trapped in the ice, and so I wrote to them. And over the last 10 years or so, I've been trying to improve the cetacean collection at the ROM. And so when I saw them trapped in the ice, and it's very opportunistic, I simply called the DFO. I sent them a message and said, if any of them happen to come ashore, please let me know.
And sure enough, you
and
got that call.
I got the email.
So you head there next week, and then I want to figure out. You need to help us to walk us through. Number one, do you wait for them to explode? Because I think that's part of the fascination as well. They're seeing these bloated carcasses, wondering if they'll explode. Do you wait until they explode?
Oh, they're not going to explode.
They're not going to explode.
No,
okay.
They'll slowly deflate. They expand, of course, with the bacterial action as they start to decompose.
Is that what it is? It's gases building up below the blubber as they decompose?
That's right. It's inside the body, and of course they're trapped by the skin. The animal will inflate for a while, and then it's going to slowly, and then it will deflate, and that will be the end of it. It's not going to blow up.
It won't explode. All right. Okay, that's good news, because I've been talking about this for days. There is a dangerous component to this, all the viruses and all the bacteria. Are they kind of dangerous? These I don't mean dangerous, but you know what I mean. Are there potential toxic materials in there?
Well, I think people should stay away from the carcass, but I'm not overly concerned. It's not a human, so they're not going to be most of the any potential diseases won't be transmittable to people, so I'm not overly concerned about it. We will wear protective gear when we're there,
all right.
But it's not a huge concern for me.
Well, people who were standing on top of them, they might be getting up a little closer than they should be. Given that, how will you go about this? You'll be in your protective gear. What will you do?
Well, we'll go to the place. One of the things is the worst thing about processing large whales is the smell. There's nothing that smells worse than a dead whale.
Really?
Nothing that I know of.
Oh.
But we'll be there. We'll be there on site. We'll actually go about it the way, not unlike the way you would cleanse a whale on a whaling ship. We'll wind up removing the skin and the blubber. We'll remove the layer of skeletal muscle. We'll eviscerate the animal, and we'll disarticulate the skeleton that remains, and we'll load that up and bring it back.
How long will that take to go through all of that process?
It's going to take at least a couple of weeks.
And in the smell the whole time?
You don't notice it after about
Really?
an hour. Yeah, it's like if you're around a skunk too long. You don't. After a while, you stop smelling it.
Real okay. So you're going to do all of that, and then what do you do then with the skeletal remains?
Oh, well, then you bring the skeleton back, and it takes the whale skeletons are particularly they're embodied with oil, so there's lots of oil in the skeleton. So one of the things you have to do is you have to clean the remaining flesh off the skeleton. We usually do that by composting it. And then and that doesn't harm the bones.
So you bury it?
Yeah, we bury it, and in the
Where do
soil
you do
manure.
That? Okay.
We'll probably do that at. I work with a group called Research Casting International, and we'll do it at their warehouse. We're probably in the containers that we ship them in.
Okay.
And then we will. And then
for how long does that take?
That's going to take 6 months to a year.
Really?
And then once that takes place, we'll then start to degrease the animals, either using a degreasing apparatus, or we'll do it with water. We'll slowly try to pull the oil out of the bones, which could take another year.
So it's going to be years before we see those on display anywhere.
Yeah, they're mainly going for the research collection. It's my ultimate hope that I can get them on display, because they're absolutely magnificent and will give us a chance to highlight the conservation status of the whales.
Right.
and a little bit and about their unusual biology. But so yeah, it'll be a while before we see them on display, even if if I had the cash to do it.
Okay, yeah, that's true. So how do you anticipate in terms of reception there? Because as I said, there is a little bit of local controversy. They'd like the bones to stay there for tourist attraction purposes.
I think, and that's often the reaction. But in practical terms, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it to the point where it's actually mounted and you can display it. You can't display them outdoors. And it would take years. And I've pulled together funding from various donors to the museum. There's no federal funding. There's no provincial funding for this. It's something that you have to cobble together from interested parties who are willing to philanthropically to support the project.
So you have it. Off you go next week. Maybe we'll hook up with you there. What a fascinating discussion this morning, and I'd love to speak to you from there when you're on site.
Well, we'll be there. We'll be there for a couple of weeks.
With your smelling salts.
Well, I'll be fine. You may need the smelling salts.
Indeed. Great to meet you. Thank you so much.